Welcome, Farouk. Thank you for doing this. This is like our first go live, and it was a quick, thing of a moment. We said, let's talk. It's been years since we really talked, and the first time we talk in years is in a live session. It's very weird. So I've known you for many, I think, for decades now, or decade, and it's pretty interesting. So Farouk, you're AE for the UK government on Microsoft. Impressive career. Good to hear your thoughts on everything related to AI. So thank you for doing this.
Thank you, Sam, and thank you so much for having me today. It's a pleasure to join you. I'm quite impressed with the progress and you had in your career and the many companies and businesses that you're launching. And for what it's worth, thank you for having me, and I hope I will be adding value to the listeners today.
Yeah, I mean, we're doing something fun. We're just gonna talk about AI, right?
Absolutely, let's do
Or,
this.
or technology or business. So everyone is thinking AI. It's been 2 years, over 2 years since the birth of LLMs or making LLMs available to customers, and we're seeing a lot of pressure. Everyone is feeling, the FOMO. Are we using AI? Should we use AI? And it seems to me like it's kind of weird that everyone is trying to keep their same business model and try to plug in AI as a tool or as a technology that supports the business model. But you might as well think, should we do things differently?
Mhm.
And one way, I think that's really the right way to think about it. And I don't know what you've seen in practice. Is there some kind of a use case where we've seen a business model being transformed, some kind of an interesting application of AI from your perspective?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Look, I had been in Microsoft for many years, but I'm pretty sure it's the same across the board. It's one of those trends where you feel suddenly everyone wants to have a piece of it. You mentioned the FOMO, and every organization, every IT decision maker wants to have a piece of that. They want to have AI to do things, to automate, to help them, to make them more productive. So they have a zillion of scenarios. They are seeing peers doing things and making operations more efficient, much more cost effective. So there is a lot of engagements around AI, and actually we wonder kind of many organizations are struggling to keep up with the trends. Things are moving, and obviously there are plenty of challenges to implement AI. We're trying to help organizations, but the success for any implementation comes really from within organization decision makers. They have to make sure that they are ready for AI, and for what's worth, to make the most of it. Um, Look, specifically, I work with the UK government today, but I believe it's across the board today. There is not a single vertical industry we know today that are not trying to leverage AI left and right, right? Think about retail, think about manufacturing, think about real estate. Any vertical now is trying to leverage AI. The use cases, we are talking about thousands and millions now. So yeah, we
Yeah,
have to be very aware.
that's very interesting. Like you touched on the readiness, which is a very important point. I think we've seen that, and we're seeing it right now, even internally as we're building products or as we're reshaping the products of other customers. We are currently working on the manufacturing industry. And the interesting take there is that if you're ready, and we assess readiness in a framework of let's start with your data and operations, and we have like some kind of a quadrant where we put people, do you have how's the data availability and how's the data accessibility of your organization? And then once we have that foundation right and you have highly accessible, highly available data, now we can really rethink about reshaping your business. And again, I really think about like specifically the value that we're trying to bring with AI. Like if your company is selling time, you're at risk. But then if your company is selling outcomes, you have a huge advantage. So the idea here is to find what is the real advantage that's or the real outcome that AI will enable you to do. And we've seen a good exercise with the manufacturing company. They have a huge amount of data, time series data they get from all of these different machines that are in different lines, different plants and factories. All of that data is aggregated in one place. They have been traditionally providing information that is reactive or some kind of a causal analysis on how to manage these machines, maybe react to certain pipelines. Now, with the availability of these LLMs and additional AI algorithms, as you know, machine learning is also AI, optimization algorithms are also part of AI. Combining that with the power of LLM, now we can actually reshape the kind of analysis we can give to customers. And now customers have an edge that other people wouldn't have. So you would be able to conversationally interact with
Mm.
aggregated set of data across your factories and have an uh, interesting questions answered. Quick, it's like fast, which is I think also an important point of AI. It's really fast compared to humans, compared to other algorithms. They take a lot of time, and the value is much more interesting. But again, in terms of availability and readiness, that's a big issue. So, what kind of issues did you see, or what do you think about that?
Oh yeah, I mean, like, well, thank you for that, and it really talks to there are plenty of blockers today. Some of them are really uh, needs careful handling by those organizations. Um, I mean, you talked about uh, data and infrastructure here, and how, from readiness standpoint, frankly, many organizations today are not ready because the data is so scattered. Uh, Probably we need just a workshop to find a single clean record. Um, for many organizations today, data lives in multiple silos, multiple
Right.
formats, and often containing errors, missing labels, making it tough to really to feed consistent inputs into AI models. So without centralized feature store and version extract, without how to call it, uh, ETL pipelines, you face schema drift, duplicate records, and and inconsistency between what we call training and inference data sets. Solving this requires a lot of work, requires metadata catalogs, automated validation checks, and data lineage tracking. So this is one of the main blockers that we are facing today. So we like AI, we have the use cases, but we need to work on the data and the infra piece. And this is one of the main, probably the biggest um, blocker that we are facing today in the market, facing organizations. And obviously, there is a lot of work and there is a lot of uh, support that needs to be provided to organization to reach a point when they are ready from data and infrastructure standpoint. Um, Another one is probably we need to talk around um, uh, the lack of personnel
Mm,
or lack of skilled uh,
right.
AI and machine learning personnel. Because let's be real, right? Hunting for AI talent these days is like, I don't know, chasing unicorns. Everyone has heard of them, but really good luck finding one.
Right.
It's really hard to hire. It's really hard to train enough engineers or data scientists who really know the ins and outs of AI. And that's another thing that we are working with in with organizations. So instead of hiring, we do upskilling or repurposing some roles. So there is plenty of work in that area.
That makes sense. So you touched upon on the technology side, but also on the people side. And I agree with you. On the technology side, 100% data readiness is very important. And actually, something interesting about Microsoft, you guys offer good tools and technologies to support with cataloging, with lineage,
Yeah,
like with preview systems. I think that went live last year. And now they have GA service offerings for hugging. That's pretty amazing. And I think
yes.
that's going to push more companies to adopt those systems, those technologies to be ready to implement these different AI systems, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We're offering all the technology that customers are needing. We are developing on the cloud actually new features. And the good thing also is we know there is a lot of, there is big room uh, to improve and to keep up with the current needs. So if any organization today is lacking a feature or they want to a feature to be in um, we need to improve a certain aspect. We remodeled our support to be able to capture those insights or those feedbacks from customers and make sure that they're implementing. And we are getting closer between our engineering teams with customers. We are getting closer to make sure there is a much more reactivity from our side. And talking to our, I mean, like we are partnering with OpenAI, which is also pioneering in that space. So we are there, and yeah,
Yeah,
we we keep it that way.
that makes sense. And I think this fast-pacing world is interesting because I think we are moving toward the world right now. We're moving quietly toward the
Yep.
world where technologies are actually reshaping the business plan of businesses, not just support their roadmap. So when we talk about data readiness and availability, traditionally you would think, should we do a data warehouse or should we use data fabric? Should we add Genesis? Why and how and so on. So it's more of it's in a roadmap. But now, in the terms of these businesses that trying to adopt AI, they have to rethink the whole value proposition their
Abs-
business is providing. And they think, like, how can we or how would we not use AI to support this business model, but how should we change the business model to make it outcome based, to provide a value to the customer, and at that point now we have to, if we say we figured that's like we answered that question, awesome, perfect. How to implement it? We found ourselves like trying to, all right, now we're gonna do that. So where's the data? How we're gonna put it there? How we're gonna do the lineage? How we're gonna do the auditing and that kind of stuff. So I think it's an interesting point where maybe in our lifetime, me and you, time since the 90s, because I think like I'm trying to read, as you know, like the old things, the old bubble that happened in the 90s or what how it was caused, trying to kind of see, are we in the same kind of do we have a parallel to think about? Because basically, and I think it's not really a bubble, but I think we are at the point where the internet is doing to like what AI is doing to industries the same that the internet did to distribution back in the day. So
Yes.
before in the internet, before the internet, when you had to buy something in retail, you have to go and figure out from whom to buy it, where to stock it, and so on, and figure out distribution management. But then with the internet, like similar to the use case of Amazon, you just can buy a book from an e-commerce site. So the internet made it disrupted certain businesses, and I think we are at that point right now in AI, but it's not clear to a lot of people that it's not really a tool to add to an existent business model, but it's going to probably change your business model entirely.
Absolutely. Look, AI won't simply, I mean, for sure, AI won't simply optimize operations only.
Right.
It will, today, it's, in my opinion, it's rewriting the rules of competition. It's dethroning incumbents. It's propelling those who dare to innovate into entirely new markets.
Right.
Every business, every e-commerce, every business that's running at least online today, if it's not thinking about use cases and implementing AI in their operations, um, I don't see how they will not be disrupted. If it's not next month, probably next year. If you are not doing it, someone else is doing it. And this goes not only to the level of the organization, but also at the level of the people who are working
Right.
today in terms of careers, right? Today, you will not, I mean, there is a famous say, which is, it's not, you will not be losing your job to AI, but eventually that happens for a lot of some jobs, but eventually you will lose your job to someone who is being assisted by AI. People are getting times doing their jobs 10 times faster with AI. So at the level of organizations, how you can empower, enable people to use AI tools and move faster. And you can see it open. I mean, go to the news. You see companies are trimming. I mean, like there are lots of they're downsizing their teams because they're implementing AI on daily basis, and people are getting more and more efficient by the day by using AI tools. And the
Right.
ones who will continue will enjoy a thriving and fulfilling career are the ones who will be leveraging AI on daily basis. Same for the organization that are they want to stay in business, they want to disrupt. They are the ones who are leveraging AI today.
Yeah, I really like for double clicking on the people aspect of it. I don't think
Yeah.
we're basically AI is replacing people at some point, but that's I think a byproduct of how what's happening, and AI is replacing people because AI is changing what people are willing to pay for.
Yes.
So traditionally, you would pay for like someone by the hour, and this is one of the I really personally hate times and material services. And now I think like AI is proving my point. If you're selling your time, if you're selling your hours to do some kind of a service, I mean, you're screwed. Like AI could do that. Like someone who knows how to use AI could do that faster, better, cheaper. So I think that's definitely happening right now, and I can see some industries like engineering companies or services companies who are doing like the hourly rate kind of stuff will really suffer. I also see the legal like lawyers who are selling their time by
Mhm.
the hour would suffer from this. But then think of a services company or technology company that's instead of and the biggest one is probably Palantir, who's working with
Yeah.
the like they do like hourly like times and materials, obviously, but they also have their own utility technology are built on top of AI that helps them provide a faster outcome than any other competition. And I think that's an interesting key there in terms of people. But then you talked about something that I think is we
Mhm.
time on, which is having the right skills, having the right talent. And the question is, how can we find that right talent, and what does it look like in this landscape nowadays? Is it a data scientist? Is it someone who knows how to prompt, or is it an engineer who know how to think logically?
Yeah, absolutely. Or probably a mix of all, right?
Or maybe a mix of all, right? I don't know. Like, yeah,
I mean, you need experts who can build uh, reproducible data pipelines. Uh, Obviously, they can containerize models for Kubernetes, so configure serverless GPUs and so on. With that, and then you will need people who can prompt. This is more for the end user who can prompt, who can go faster. They can focus on the creative side of their job and leave the day to day or the low let's say level job tasks to AI. Without
right,
that today in organization, without that multidisciplinary team, uh, uh, there is no way someone can embrace AI really.
right, yeah. Actually, even in engineering right now, like we have some engineers working with us, or at least working for clients. Our engineers in the team, they all have a license to Copilot. Some of them use Cursor. We're
Yeah.
using Windsurf. Like we're trying everything to give them the right tools to use to use them properly. But then the issue is if you're not a senior engineer, and like luckily, I would say luckily, or maybe by happenstance, like
Mhm.
all our engineers have at least 8 years of experience. Yeah, they know certain algorithms, they know what the algorithm should look like, how the implementation should look like. But when using LLMs in large like repositories and large codes,
Yes.
it can get you in a very spaghetti code and they look nice or it doesn't work. So there's a danger there, and I think there's that balance between I know what the outcome should be, but
Mhm.
then if I'm using this LLM based technology to get it faster, I can just compare the output. Is it good? Good. I'm gonna move on. So now you gain cycles. If it's
Yes.
not good, you'd be able to gauge that quickly and correct it, and then move forward. The danger is if there's a junior engineer who takes everything that the LLM would produce as a given, that's something correct. Now we're really in a very bad situation. And I think I've read on X a lot of horror stories, or some of the horror stories. Like I can tell you of one,
Uh-huh.
a customer, he sent me this Slack message. I even posted it. I wrote an article about it because he said, um, like literally, he said, Replit fucked up my systems, right? So this is quote. I have to say it. That's the word he used. And when we looked into it, it turned out that when he built Replit applications, he used the same secret file across applications, and now the connection strings used for the Postgres SQL database is being shared by those two applications. And now he has two different applications sharing the same database. And then he published those two. They are being live, and some of his users are using the app, and other users are using the other app, but both are sharing the database, different models, and there's a collision. So he ended up having a very weird, nightmarish situation that we have to untangle with him because he built a system with Replit not knowing how to do separations of operational separation or basics of DevOps in a way. So I think there are horror stories like that, and this is one of our clients who sent us that, and he became a client just because of that situation.
Yeah, I mean, like, that is why it's the role of specialist coders or developers is much more relevant today. At the beginning of generative AI, we thought, frankly, I was one of the people who were thinking that we will not need specialists. We need just people who will just can verify codes that are generated by, GitHub Copilot and so on. But now the thinking is shifting that we need actually to cut down on like generalist or junior developers and move more toward having more specialist experienced developers. Because frankly speaking, this happened with one of the organizations I work with. Generating code without verification, as you mentioned, can generate hidden bugs, security vulnerabilities, and you work with UK government, so it's absolute. It's zero
Right.
trust. It should be zero trust design by zero trust architecture by design, um, and it needs someone who will be on top of this, who can um, uh, do code reviews, automated testing, check and have the continuous monitoring of in production for runtimes or drifts. So it's really important, and organizations, they have to work um, with specialized developers in that area, because I mean, AI can make us theoretically go faster, but that can lead to disastrous results if it goes unchecked.
Makes sense. Yeah, I agree with that. And I hope like some of these systems or providers will probably, in terms of code generation, and in terms of app generation, I don't know what the future look like for that, but I have to assume, and maybe we can contemplate what the future would look like. But I think we're very, very early. Like if we're trying to make a parallel with the 90s and the internet, but then I think the start with app development with web framework that are very common, like could use like build an XJS web application directly on Replit or Cursor or Windsurf. But then if you're trying to do some of these obscure languages, I would not say obscure, but some of the languages that are not really common, you would find some issues. And my thought here, or my theory, is that we have a large corpus of data and information around these standard, let's call them, web development technologies, web frameworks, and web in general. So we can quickly test the market, see how engineers interact with it, how they like the experience of Copilot versus using the experience of Replit, for instance. And I kind of a sense that in the near-term future, we're moving probably deeper into niche down the stack or data applications, because I think there's a lot of data apps that need to be built
Mhm.
of entity resolution or data harmonization, or as you mentioned, how can we do the data? There are certain problems that trying to address there, but then building the right tooling for them would take some time. I think these different or someone, not probably Replit or Cursor or Windsurf, but someone will probably build these different systems. Issue is, how can we test them? How can we the algorithm is correct? We're doing entity resolution. How can we make sure that the was probably built? So I don't know what's your thought on that or what's your take, but maybe just we are early.
We are early. Honestly, I don't want things go really fast. Things go really unpredictable at a certain point, and we are in a space when there is a disruption that's happening almost every month. So, but for its worth, I think we know at least at the level of organization, which is something that this um, this has to be embraced, and in a way that is just like to put it on paper that we want AI, but they have to be ready for AI and embrace it and be and allocate the different budgets, the different resources, start rethinking their system, their operations, their processes, how to make it much more efficient with AI at the level of people who are working in AI. I mean, you cannot now bet on what is the winning technology or what I will be learning now so I can be ready in 5 years. Just focus on what's working, what's popular today, organization, and master it
Yeah,
without seeking perfection. And things can change from month to another. Every month or two, we have new a new technology, a new feature, new capabilities that are being added to this space. And the only way to continue down this path is really just to embrace it and and understand that um, uh, how to call it, skills are changing by the month, and we need to readapt every now and then. So yeah, there is a lot of change management skills that will be needed at the level of a individual, but also organizational levels.
right, right. I think we just have to adapt quickly. Yeah,
Yes.
the big shock to the system, and we're adapting to it. I think we are me and you and folks at our age are lucky because we're seeing the world before AI, but we're so young that we can do, and I believe we're so young. We're so young that we can actually do.
Youngish.
Oh, no, we're very young. I'm young.
Absolutely.
Yeah, without the white hair. I mean, but we're young that we can actually do something about it. And I think the issue, um, again, it really bugs me that like most folks think about AI as an efficiency multiplier, which it may be, but the right question to ask is not how, like, you shouldn't really ask, how can AI help me make my model more efficient? You should really ask how someone young like us would do the same thing from scratch today, because they would be asking different questions. Because if we had to do something completely different regarding a retail system or a manufacturing application, we would have done it completely differently. Yeah, really the danger and the opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. There will be new business models. Uh, Disruption is happening to every industry.
Right.
We are having new players in the market who are solely working with AI, disrupting bil- uh, multi-billion dollar businesses with a simple business model that's embracing AI from scratch. AI, for once, is giving us the opportunity from finance standpoint to have generational wealth transfer, new opportunities. Think of it as the pre-dot-com era when Amazon disrupted all the retail, how to call it, vertical, where Google was disrupting internet search, or zillion of Netflix or disrupted
Right.
um, lots of media entertainment industry players. So there is an opportunity, there is a window to create wealth, there is an opportunity to change the market, to disrupt classic players, and that comes with the price of the willingness to always adapt, embrace, have a growth mindset, learn, need to work with the right people, listen to ideas, get creative, And for its worth, understand you have an opportunity to change businesses' lives. Lots of good stuff that's happening now.
Yeah, this is a very positive message to end this with because I think we're at time and we took 30 minutes today. I don't know who's listening. We have 15 viewers, but you guys, this is the first time we do the live. I'm here in Atlanta in the United States. Farouk is in Ireland. He's working with the UK government for Microsoft. I have a company, in a deep tech company, assisting companies with our clients and data related problems. And we just thought, let's just talk. Let's see how our minds think about this and how we can come together and see what are the different perspectives around AI. And it seems like we are in agreement. This is the most disruptive thing on the world uh, nowadays, and I think we're in a good time to adjust and adapt. But don't get overwhelmed. Like things are changing so fast that you can get lost into the noise and stand a little bit and think clearly, and you'll find the right foundation is what ahead. All right.
Absolutely.
I don't have anything else to add. I think we just want to keep it at 30 minutes mark. But because it's always good to talk to you, Farouk.
It's always great to talk to you, Quentin, and for its worth, it's a pleasure. And again, I'm so inspired by your work. And should you, any of the listeners today, want to reach out to any of us, I would be happy to assist and help in any capacity.
Yeah, great. Absolutely. I think you should guys reach out to Farouk. All of you, 15 members. We'll buy you dinner at some point. I promise if we can find you somewhere. But thank you guys and
Thank
thank
you.
talk to you. Bye.
Talk to you. Bye.